Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service. Senator Cardin and I, Senator Gardner, we were just in Saudi Arabia about 10 weeks ago. And one of the highest ranking ministers said to us that Libya was going to make Syria look like a piece of cake, which was a very startling comment to come from that source. What would it take for that set of circumstances to unfold, and what can we do to avoid it from ultimately transpiring?
Senator, regional competition in support of different forces so that Libyans can't come together to fight terrorists could potentially lead to a very bad scenario. And that's one of the things that we've been working to counter over the past year, year and a half. Having the terrorists destroy oil infrastructure and having the oil not continue to flow to be able to fund core government activities and salaries for government workers and for the people of Libya would be another threat. If there's a humanitarian collapse due to the inability of Libya to sustain its economy, that would be a second element. The third element would be not taking on Daesh now and allowing them to gain a further foothold. They don't produce anything, the Islamic State. They're entirely predatory. They live off the land, and they live off the land in an extraordinarily ugly and ruthless fashion, as we all know. So they need to grab more territory at all times in order to survive. So when you push them back on their heels and take territory away from them, it's very difficult for them to continue because they need to be able to generate income to keep themselves going. So ignoring that problem would create that kind of risk that you're talking about. So there's the risk of internal conflict, there's the risk of economic and humanitarian collapse, and there's the risk from Daesh. The three of them are intertwined, which is why the strategy has been to get political alignment so that we can get the Libyans to undertake, as they want to do, countering the threat to all of them from the Islamic State, which they detest.
Okay, so in your testimony, you pointed out that in Libya, ISIS lacks the ability to use oil smuggling as a major revenue-generating resource, as it has done in Iraq and in Syria. In March, this committee held a hearing on Libya, during which I expressed deep concerns that ISIS appeared to be expanding to the point where they could have threatened sensitive petroleum port facilities and improved their longer-term capability to move against oil production facilities in the interior regions to the south. But now the immediate risk appears to be greatly reduced, thanks to the current offensive operations by militias loyal to the government of national accord, which appears close to defeating ISIS in Sirte. I give great credit to the administration, our military forces that are assisting militias loyal to the new government of national accord, and our international partners for what appears to be progress against ISIS in Libya. If it were not for their efforts, I believe that we could have faced a real risk of ISIS gaining access to revenue-generating oil resources in Libya, as it has done in Syria. That said, no single tactical success is sufficient to avoid this kind of strategic risk. While militias loyal to the government of national accord are fighting ISIS in Sirte, General Hifter, who is aligned with the House of Representatives in Tobruk, is positioning his forces to the south of Sirte, where they are watching and waiting. Although General Hifter and the Tobruk House oppose ISIS, they have not agreed to support the government of national accord. Mr. Weiner, this appears to be a moment ripe for aggressive political intervention. Our allies, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, have a history of supporting General Hifter and the House of Representatives in Tobruk. If General Hifter goes to war with the militias loyal to the government of national accord, there will only be further chaos, and ISIS will have an opportunity to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat and will resume the expansion in Libya. What are we, the UN and EU, doing to bring General Hifter and the Tobruk House of Representatives together with the government of national accord?
Thank you, Senator. I must say that each of you worry about the same things that I worry about. The anxieties I've heard today are consistent with the things that we're worrying about and thinking about every day. when it comes to Libya.
I guess in your answer, could you specifically tell me if we are working with Egypt and the UAE to push General Hifter and the Tobruk House towards an agreement with the new government? Are we doing that right now?
Egypt and the UAE, like every other country neighboring Libya and every other country in the region, has signed on both expressly and in bilateral discussions with us, as well as in multilateral fora, on supporting the government of national accord and working to get people they've been close to into the government of national accord. Secretary Kerry said in Vienna last month that the United States wants to see General Haftar be part of the solution. We see him as playing a potentially significant role, but he's not going to be the only one clearly playing a significant role, and it has to be under the GNA and within the context of a civilian-led government. We're working on that, and we're consulting with the UAE and Egypt on that, among others. And I feel we have a very great degree of alignment in a constructive fashion that could well lead to positive results, as we've already seen positive results of these past weeks in CERT.